I'm Chris Banbury, Secretary of the Right to Work campaign, but I'm also a son, my son, who's now 4, has attended Great Ormond Street as an outpatient. And I'm here today to register my concern over what the Tories are doing to the National Health Service and indeed to our welfare state. And to say I think they've lied. They lied when David Cameron said the frontline services were safe in his hands. He specifically said the National Health Service would be safe, and we're seeing 55,000 jobs going in the NHS, including nurses, doctors and frontline staff. David Cameron doesn't have to use the NHS. Like most of his cabinet, he can afford to pay for private care because they're millionaires. I'm also here because I think they've lied over other things. In my area of North Westminster, Tory Council is cutting the children's centres. It's one of the most poorest areas of North Westminster. It's already been the victim of social cleansing under Lady Jane Porter some years ago. And the shutting down of children's centres affects kids like mine, preschool children. And Cameron's lied about that too when he said that Sure Start and the children's centres would be safe in Tories' hands. So 2 counts of lying, and I'm worried about what's taking place in this country. We rely on the National Health Service. Both my sons, one at age 1 and one at age 4, were born in the National Health Service. I myself was brought up in the National Health Service. My father was a National Health Service worker, a charge nurse in an NHS hospital in Scotland. We need to treasure and look after the NHS, and the idea that we can't afford it in the year 2011 is a fallacy. We've plenty of money for war. We're now at war again in Libya. There seems to be no problem finding money for that. There always seems to be a problem finding money for something like Great Ormond Street. You're always seeing fundraising, people pushing beds, doing things like that to to provide desperately needed facilities for hospitals like this. And therefore, I think we need to be here today to show our concern over what's happening to the NHS and the wider welfare state. It's interesting that Andrew Lansley has not appeared today. I think the Tories are running scared. Either that or they're afraid of daylight. But they're running scared and he won't come out to meet us. This Saturday, I'll be joining the march called by the Trade Union Congress against cuts and austerity. My son's nursery are making banners, placards, T-shirts. The staff, parents and children will be coming on that march, and I hope it's a huge turnout of people from across the community, all of us who rely on the welfare state, who rely on the National Health Service, to put down a marker that we're going to fight to keep our services. And I also hope further down the road, if it comes to it, anything which is shut down, whether it's a children's centre, a hospital ward, a hospital itself, we should be ready to occupy to keep that open. We shouldn't accept closures. And I hope we will see strike action as well against these austerity measures. The trade unions can't lie down and watch this happening. It's up to us to make sure that we hit the Condemn Coalition with a wave of protest and direct action. Otherwise, I couldn't look at my son in 14 years' time and say, for instance, that we can't afford for him to go to university because of the introduction of higher tuition fees. That's what will happen if we don't win this fight. I want to look at my son and say, you can go to university. We won that fight, and we won much else. We defended the National Health Service, and indeed we've pushed on, and by the time you've grown up to a boy, we've got a better National Health Service, which doesn't have to rely on charity and ordinary people going out collecting money to raise the funds it needs. So I'm pleased to be here today, and I'm pleased that actually Andrew Lansley seems to be running scared because of our protest here today. That's a little victory, but from little victories, bigger things grow. Thanks.